Hello everybody, how's it going?
Hi all!
Baby had a vet appointment today. She got birdie birth control.
Life is pain.
I'm gonna make a video. What are you planning on doing? Hanging out? Are you still a little high from the anesthesia? A little bit? We're a little bit high right now. When you say hi, you haven't said hi. Nope, we're out. Sorry y'all, she's out.
Fuck this, I'm not back to this shit.
Anyway, hi, we're doing a tag video. I'm sure you've seen this one going around a lot. It comes around every year around this time of year, and that is the mid-year freakout tag. But I'm also adding, or I'm shuffling some of the stuff because Jesse the reader also did an updated version of the tag because he wasn't relating as much to some of the questions, and I don't relate to all the questions either. I'm still gonna answer them all, but I have combined both the old freakout tag and Jesse the reader's new freakout tag and combined them.
I also don't speak English as well.
I've combined them into one. And we're also gonna do a little bit of a goal check-in and all that jazz. So, without further ado, let's get to question number 1. What is the best book you've read so far this year? This was actually very difficult. I have read a lot of really, really good books, but I think I'm gonna give it to this one. You've already heard me talk about it before, so it should come to no surprise to anyone that it is Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. Absolutely love this book. It's fantastic. It's exposing, it's real, it's just unhinged and awesome. I absolutely love this book. I'm still thinking about it to this day. I can't really say more because I've said a lot already in other videos.
Don't you ever shut up!
What is the best sequel you've read so far this year? This was actually difficult because I haven't had too many fantastical, phenomenal sequels. I've had a few, but one that's a true sequel, because I've read a lot of like book 3s and stuff. I'm gonna give it to a true sequel, a number 2 in a series. We're gonna go with this one. The Mime Order by Samantha Shannon. I started reading Bone Season. Did I read it last year? I forget when I read Bone Season, but I absolutely loved it, and I love this series. I was really blown away by Mime Order. It's chunky, but it's so intense. I love these characters. I love this world building. It's just so fun. Samantha Shannon is one of my favorite writers. Between Prior, The Orange Tree, I'm literally in the middle of A Day of Fall and Night right now, and I'm just in love with it all. So yes, Mime Order. So if you haven't read Bone Season yet, check out Bone Season, yo, it's good.
Note the gusto, Lucius!
Next up is the biggest disappointment so far this year, and there's actually 2 very good candidates for this. One is one I just read, but this is a bigger disappointment because I loved another book by this author so very much, and I was thoroughly disappointed in the next installment in this universe. Not a sequel, but companion kind of thing, and that is Ocean's Echo by Everina Maxwell. It's the same book as Winter's Orbit. It really was the same book. I was very disappointed in that the characters felt exactly like the characters in Winter's Orbit. The plot felt very similar to Winter's Orbit. The whole romance felt very similar to Winter's Orbit. So it felt like it was copy pasted and just name changed. Honestly, I feel really bad about that, but that's what happened with my reading experience. I hyped this book up so much. I was so excited to go back to this world, and I was just thoroughly let down.
But if you just put some fucking imagination into it, man.
The first DNF of the year. Now, if you know me, you know I don't DNF books. I DNF series, but not books. I'm counting this one. This is kind of the first book I've ever DNF'd this year, and I very rarely DNF. I technically read the book, the first book. It was a bound copy. I don't have it anymore. A bound copy of 3 books in one called the Cassidy Chronicles, and I read the first book, Run Like Hell. I had the intention of reading the full copy, but I just hated Run Like Hell so much I couldn't do it. So I counted it as just reading Run Like Hell and not the full Chronicle book, but that was my first DNF. I just absolutely hated that book. Sorry. A new release you haven't read yet but really want to. That is gonna go to Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. I just acquired a copy of this book. I've been dying to. I was really upset with the Kickstarter because I'm so poor. There's no way I would have been able to afford the copies in the Kickstarter. And I get why they were all that expensive. I just am just, oh, it felt so, like certain things like that just make me so sad because I am just, it's so poor. And as a book collector, it's really hard to do that when you're poor. But I did find a regular copy of it, not a fancy copy. I really love the Cosmere. I love Brandon Sanderson's writing. I'm really excited. I've heard amazing things about Tress, and I'm just absolutely ecstatic to read this. I will say in this cover though, I keep thinking that Tress is holding a cell phone. I think it's a cup of water, but it looks like she's holding her phone. And I know that's not right. The most anticipated release for the second half of the year. Now I have a ton that I'm excited for, but there is one above all that I'm so excited because we've been hearing about it coming out for years and it just haven't. And I'm still worried that it won't come out, but it does have a release date now, and that is Heartstopper Volume 5. I love Heartstopper so much. Been waiting for it. I haven't turned to the webcomic just yet because I like having bound copies, but given what I'll tell you in a moment for another book, I might crack and start really diving into webcomics, but it's not usually my flavor for reading format. But yes, I love Heartstopper and I can't wait. The best book recommendation you've received. So surprisingly enough, I don't get a ton of book recommendations because I'm usually the one recommending to other people because of my reading speed. I just, if most people recommend a book, I'm like, oh yeah, I've read that.
You've read all of these? Many times.
But there's a few this year that have been recommended to me. And this one came off of my 23 of 2023 because if you don't know, last year during Litmus, I played a game where people submitted these kind of questions to trick me up and I had to guess what was wrong with the statement in book literary world. And one person who did trip me up was Tamama. And so Tamama put on my 23 of 2023 The Darkness Outside Us by Elliot Schrefer, not sure. And I just actually read this and I loved it. This was so different than what I thought it was going to be, but I loved it. I was like really confused for a long time, but I thought it was just fantastic. And I love this. I love this. I really kind of want more. I want to know what happens next. I want to see. But yeah, definitely this has been so far the best recommendations. Again, I have not had a ton, and there's still some that I've been recommended that I haven't read yet. So if I'm not saying your book right now, that's probably why.
You're a fucking lunatic and I like it.
The biggest surprise so far this year. And I'm gonna give this one to one that, it's the biggest surprise because a lot of other people didn't enjoy this book, or they were just kind of meh about the book, whereas I thoroughly enjoyed it, and that is The City of Dusk by Tara Sim. I've talked about this one before, but the general consensus was people not really liking it. They were saying it still felt YA, which might be why I still liked it more. But I really like the characters. I really like the magic system and the world building. The cliffhanger got me so good. But I thoroughly enjoyed this. It was a huge surprise. I went in kind of like, oh, it's so chunky and people are saying it's not great. I'm worried it's going to be dry and bland, but it wasn't for me, at least. You might have a different opinion about that. That's okay. But I thoroughly enjoyed this book.
Clap. Hello, everybody!
A favorite new author. Now I also have to preface this by saying that there's several new authors who have shot up to favorites list. They're not an auto-buy just yet because of my auto-buy author rules, but they're well on their way there. I've also decided in this tag, I'm not going to repeat books. So there are books on this list that easily could cross over into other questions, but I think I'm gonna give this one to an indie writer because the prose alone was
some damn good marmalade.
And that is Raphael Nicholas for Angels Before Man. This is an indie book right now. This is a gay retelling of the fall of Satan, and it's beautiful. Like you can say, oh, a gay retelling of Fall of Satan, and you think something completely different. This is very literary. It has very beautiful prose. If you're not into like purple prose kind of stuff, you might not like it. I wouldn't go so far to say this is purple prose, but it is definitely like every word is purposeful and meaningful in this. Every metaphor, every scene, like the meadow scene alone, holy crap. It is very heavy though. The first half of the book is great and lighter, it's lighter, and then it gets dark, and it gets dark fast. So, fair warning, lots of content warnings for this, but based on just writing alone, Rafa is definitely one of my new favorite authors.
You know how hard it is to find someone doing something original out here? It's impossible, man. And here you come with your library, and your fancy quarters, and your secret little closet full of frilly shirts and summer linens.
Newest favorite book crush. Now, I am very ace. I don't really get crushes all that much, especially on fictional characters. Most people who have crushes on fictional characters are crushing on like the main love interest in the book or something. And for me, I'm just like, I don't want them, I want them together. So I don't crush on the character, if that makes sense. However, that doesn't mean I don't have favorite characters that like, if the opportunity arose, I would totally date them. And usually it has to be a character that's not in a relationship in the books, but that makes it easier on me. That's why Silas is forever my book boyfriend from Mysteries of Thorn Manor and Sorcery of Thorns. But that's not where we're going with this year, because I've already labeled him that this is a new one. And that is Hermes. This red guy. Hermes from Lore Olympus. I think Hermes is so fun. And I love his journey, his little arc that he gets. And I'm so proud of him, especially in the later episodes. So this is the comic, the graphic novel here, that is also a webcomic on Webtoons that I read volume 3. I've read volume 2, I read volume 3 because I picked this up and immediately read it, and then immediately had to order volume 4, which came out like 2 days after I finished reading volume 3. And then I was sad, so I had to immediately go online and finish it. And now it's updated all the way to whatever, it's like constant, it's still in progress, but now I don't have immediate books to read by it, and I'm upset and having withdrawal. But Hermes. I love Hermes a lot. I think Hermes is great, and everyone should love him and give him more baklava. He deserves all the baklava.
What's her name?
Ed. His name is Ed.
And newest favorite character. Again, there are several books that are my new favorite characters, but I've chosen them for other questions. So, again, I'm a big side character fan. I tend to like them way more than most main characters, and that is true for this book. I still love all the characters in this book, and I love this book a hell of a lot. This would easily also be another new favorite author, and a lot of other answers that will come later, but the character is Duckers from The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy. Duckers is the new marshal that is now Heart's like kind of underling, and he's sassy and sarcastic and fun and totally calls everyone out on their bullshit. I just love him, and I want to be best friends with Ducker.
Jim's the kind of person where if they stabbed me, I'd be like, yeah, probably deserved it. Oh, I would love to be stabbed by Jim. A
book that made you cry. Now, we all know that I'm a soulless creature who doesn't shed a tear for anything.
It's a lot, thank you.
But I don't tend to cry when reading a book. Now, I will get emotional. And the book that did me a good emotional damage was this one. Aristotle and Dante dive into the waters of the world. This is emotional. I love these guys so much. There is a very tragic death that happens in this. And I don't want to spoil what it is, but just know that there is a family member death in this that is very, very, very emotional. And it got me good. I did not cry, but if I had more empathy in my body, I probably would have been bawling my eyes out. But it's very powerful. I love this book. I love this duology. I really kind of hope we get a third, like eventually. Like it took over a decade to get a sequel to Ari and Dante. I don't mind if I have to wait another decade for a third book just to see how they're doing in their adult years. I would like that. Ben, get on that, sir.
And then you're dead.
A book that made you happy. Again, many of those books made me happy, but we're gonna give it to this one. Mysteries of Thorn Manor by Margaret Rogerson. This book made me happy for many reasons. One, I didn't know we were getting more of the Or Three of Thorns world, and to go back to all these characters, especially my boy Silas, was amazing. And while I'm happy because it was a pleasant surprise, I'm happy by what happens in this book. I loved it. It was so fun. I do wish it was longer and we kept getting all. I just want to keep reading them. I will follow Silas into the ends of the earth, okay? I will. I love them so much, and it made me so happy, and I would love to, it's fun because you can just go back and read everything really quick again. So, endless happiness.
You happy now? Yeah.
The most beautiful book you have acquired this year, and there really is no contest for this one. We have The Adventures of Amina AlSarafi by Shannon Chakraborty. Also a favorite character is Amina, which is, you know, I don't usually like the main characters. Amina. Look at this book. It's so beautiful. I love the stenciled edges. I love the foiling. I love the under the jacket here. I love the end pages so much with the foiling. And even inside the book, some like little transcript stuff, so it's a little bit, not fully mixed media, but it's nice to see that. And thoroughly love this book. It's just so beautiful, and I love it.
I've got it.
A book to movie adaptation that you loved. I can't answer this question. I have not watched a single movie adaptation of anything, not even a show, nothing. The closest thing I can get is Queen Charlotte, but that was a TV series and the book just came out. I haven't read the book. I don't really intend to read the books for Bridgerton, and that's it. I haven't watched anything that has been an adaptation of a book. Nothing. Later we'll get we'll get Heartstopper season 2. And I don't know what else is coming out, but nothing. I have watched nothing that I can comment on that I've both read and watched. Nada. What do you need to read by the end of the year? Well, let's do a little 23 of 2023 check-in, shall we? We must open the book bujo. I have read a significant amount of the 23 of 2023. I am over halfway done, but we still have 10 empty spaces here. I've actually been reading about 2 a month, it looks like. So yeah, roughly I read about 2 each month. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But here are the books that are on that list. We have Dangerous Alliance by Jenny Eki Cohen. I don't know if that's how you say that name. Pawn of Prophecy by David Eddings. The Archive by B.E. Schwab. The Ruthless Lady's Guide to Wizardry by C.M. Wagner. The Boy and Girl Who Broke the World by Amy Reed. Alekine's Gun by Corbin Dunn. Unbirthday by Liz Braswell. Aces and Eights by O.E. Tierman. Grendel by John Gardner. And The Little Mermaid and Other Fairy Tales by Hans Christian Andersen, the Minalima edition. So those are all the 23 of 2023. I do have a ton of bomb books. I'm not going to go over those. I have been doing very poorly on the bomb books. So, and I still am trying to decipher the difference between bomb books and 23 of 2023s, but there really is barely any difference except for the bomb books, you know, getting gotten rid of, and the 23 of 2023 being just there. They make no logical sense, but neither do I.
Or as I like to call it, the art of fuckery.
What genre have you read the most from? It is no surprise to anyone that it's fantasy. If you want to get hyper specific, it's fantasy romance. I do not like the new trend of calling fantasy romance romantasy, because all the romantacies out there are like the dark, sexy smut ones, and I'm like,
What makes you go?
My camera cut me off in the middle of my rant about romantasy. But anyway, it's fantasy romance and classics coming in real close with 12. I've read 27 fantasy romances and 12 classics and then 10 historical fantasy. Those are my top 3 genres right now. Have your tastes shifted? Not really. I still love my fantasy. I have read a little bit more on the historical side and I have been enjoying a lot more historical lately, which is very strange for me. Yeah, it's still fantasy. Yeah. How are your bookish goals going? Well, for my Goodreads goal, my Goodreads goal says 200. I am well on my way there. I've read over 120 books so far this year already, so we're over halfway done. I'm like, can I push myself to 300? We'll see, but that would be really awesome if I could. I'm doing pretty well on the 23. Then the camera died. Love that. Cool. But yeah, the bookish goals I think are going fairly well. We'll talk about the other ones later. A book format you've been leaning toward. Now, I'm that hasn't really changed. I'm still fairly anti-ebook, just for me personally, not for everyone. I just hate reading them myself. I love reading physical and I love reading audiobooks. However, I'm known as a hardcover core girl and I love my hardcovers, but I have been enjoying and been more okay with paperbacks, especially with like purchasing paperbacks, especially since the lovely publishing industry has decided to kind of slow down production on hardcovers and focus on paperbacks, especially in like retailers like Barnes & Noble. And I've gotten more okay with that. So kind of, but not really.
This is my pride and joy.
The last question is a book that embodies the vibe of your current reading year. This was really hard because I have books that are the vibe of my year, but my reading year was difficult. I'm gonna give it to a very specific thing in this book. It's not the whole book, but there's a kind of a character in this book that I feel is me for my reading year. And that is in Dreams Lie Beneath by Rebecca Ross. There is a ghost who has hung around in a library wanting to read everything in the library and is dead, but is still like, I can't move on until I've read everything. And that's me. I can't move on until I've read all of this nonsense. So I'm gonna give it to that.
I'm just looting this library.
Ta-da! And that's the tag. So we're gonna do a really quick check-in, a halfway check-in on my goals this year, my 23 of 2023 goals. Get ready to be disappointed. Wah! Back into the 2023, the year of the Chaos Gremlin. There's a bumble. I'm really bad at boojoing. All right, so we have only finished 1, 2, 3 of the 23 of 2023. Now, many of them have been in progress. In progress, we have the publishing journey for Hisfakak. I'm working on publishing. The Kickstarter is coming very soon for that, so that's coming. Memory of the Hoop Boy audiobook, also currently in production, not done yet. Create-a-thon 2 is not happening until the second half of the year, so that clearly can't be done. Finish writing the first draft of Acing It. Haven't worked on it at all. Finished writing the first draft of Perfectly Respectable Vagabonds. Haven't worked on it at all. Clearing a credit card. I've worked on it, but life is hard, okay?
Life is pain.
Yeah. Kind of is, don't it?
Mambo flight training. We have worked on it. She's stubborn. She does great flying, and sometimes she will come, but sometimes she won't. Still working on that. Short story anthology, again, in progress. A couple have come out. We're working on the rest. I finished getting a new phone right in the beginning of the year. I did update my music library with all my old artists, and I've listened to some. I'm not a lot. I just don't listen to music much anymore, which is really, really sad. Sorry if you can hear Discord going off, because I just listen to audiobooks. Camping has not happened yet. Ren Fair costume is in progress. Hopefully we'll be finishing fairly soon. Traveling somewhere new, I went and visited my sister in Tennessee. I'd never been to Tennessee before, we're counting that, okay? Ziplining adventure park, has not happened yet. Hike on a mountain, has not happened yet. Put $2,000 in savings, is likely not going to happen. Go to Pride, in theory, will be happening. I'm a little worried about it just based on the current climate. So it might be doing a mini Pride with my friends, but I'm still kind of angling to try and go to at least one day of Pride. Revamping my home library has not happened. Basically, I want to get fully matching bookshelves for the whole apartment. I have a lot of mismatched ones around. Has not happened yet. Teaching in hiragana and katakana. Now, I had to change this one a little bit to just teaching in the internet, hiragana and katakana. We've been doing that. We're into katakana right now. It's Ian's responsibility to catch up on those videos. Play a video game fully. I decided to go with Phasmophobia on this. I'm determining that I have completed the game once I have caught one of each ghost. That's in progress. Actual ghost hunting, haven't done that yet. Go to the Garden of the Gods, haven't done that yet. Durango Silverton narrow gauge train. Now I'm also changing this one a little bit. I mean, it still could be this, but I didn't realize how far of a drive that actually was going to be because I don't have spatial reasoning for where the hell Durango and Silverton were. I thought they were Grand Junction area, which is about 4 hours, and Durango Silverton is like 6 hours. I still want to do this gauge train, but there is another train in Grand Junction that would also suit my needs. As long as I get to go on a cool old train ride, I'll be happy. I'm trying to do it for my birthday. I don't know if it's gonna happen or not. We will see. That's where we're at with the 23 goals of 2023. I have completed a ton of the mini goals, but they're less important. So we don't need to go over them here right now. But yeah, that's the check-in. How are you all doing in your reading goals, in your life goals, in every kind of goal? Hopefully you're doing better than me, because I feel like it's weird. I feel like I haven't been productive. I know I have been because the bigger ones have been a long process, but I just have not been good about finishing them on time. I should have finished the costume a while ago, but I got lazy. I'm lazy sometimes, okay? Anyway, that's it. Leave your questions and comments down below. Check me out on Ko-fi if you want to support me as a content creator. If you want to give Mambo a treat, you can do that on my Ko-fi page. A lot of fun stuff is updated in the shop. And I'm gonna go now. I'll see you next time, cuties. Bye. The first DNF of the year. Why? Warming up the voice, I guess. I used to love being on videos. You know, a year ago was when we introduced you to the YouTube. It was this video, the mid-year freakout tag, that you first appeared on the YouTube channel. So I think you should be here for this video. I said you should be here.